Welcome to the Amazing Authorities Podcast, where game changers, visionaries, and category leaders share how they built their brands, platforms, and global influence. Your host is Mitch Carson, international speaker, media strategist, and creator of the Instant Authority System. If you're ready to learn from those who've done it and want to become the go-to expert in your space, you're in the right place.
Kenny, you have been an employee, you've been an entrepreneur, you've had ironing boards sticking out of the car window, you've sold t-shirts out of the back of your vehicle, and here we are today. You're a published author with a big grin, and you're a proud Texan. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mitch. I appreciate it. You know, I am guilty of all of those things, and I wear them proudly.
Well, that's fantastic. So what inspired you to write your book, Employee to Boss?
I was actually inspired to write the book because I get so many people that come to me. Right now, I am one of the co-owners of the largest minority-owned real estate brokerage in Texas.
Oh, awesome.
And I get people still come to me, agents and individuals that want to get into business, but they just don't know what business they should start. And a lot of times when they do start a business, they still have an employee mindset. So Employee to Boss really was about transforming the way you view your role and the way you view yourself when you step into a position of ownership.
100% agree. It starts here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what did you notice about yourself? Did you go the route of being an employee first to boss, or did you start your own business, become an employee, then come back to being a boss again? What was your path?
Yeah, I was forced into entrepreneurship. And the reason I say I was forced into entrepreneurship, I had a wonderful life growing up. Both of my parents were in the Air Force. I got a full ride engineering scholarship to a prestigious university by the age of 15. And by the age of 17, I got a 10-year prison sentence.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And I served 7 of those 10 years, right? I had no business being in that position. However, when I got out, though I was trying to get into college and do a lot of things, nobody would hire me.
Because you had that record. You had
that record, and it was fresh. McDonald's, nobody would hire me. And so I knew that I didn't want to go backwards into what I just got out of, and I had to figure out how to make a living and how to start making money. And so entrepreneurship pretty much found me, because when I was coming from college, I got lost, ran into a guy that had the contracts for major hotels in the DFW area, and I was stopping to ask him for directions, and he had just finished talking to a UPS guy. And so I was asking him what he does. He told me what he does, and he told me about the UPS and why the guy was there. And I asked him what UPS charges him, and I told him I'd do it for half.
Wow.
So my first entrepreneurial journey began with those ironing boards sticking out of that car up and down the freeway after college hours. So I was pushed into entrepreneurship, and I've been chasing it ever since.
You know, it's interesting you bring that up, because you had this the sentence which caused you or forced you into entrepreneurship, because you couldn't. I've interviewed several ex-felons, let's just say, or felon, or however you look at it, who were forced to the same. Because if nobody's going to hire you, you got to either commit to doing something that'll pay you quickly, or you're going back.
That's right.
You got to eat. You got to eat. And fortunately, you didn't go back and go that route again. Whatever it was, doesn't matter. You changed your life. And there's another lady that I interviewed 2 years ago. She wrote a best-selling book, From Sell to CEO. She had gone to federal prison for 4.5 years, got out, same dilemma. And I think that through pressure, you either sink or swim, don't you?
100%. You have to make a decision about your life. The past is the past. The things you've done, I tell my girls, I have three daughters, and I
Mm.
tell them all the time, the only thing you can control is the decision you make. You cannot control the consequences, right? So you make the decision, the consequences are going to happen, but what do you do after that? What decision do you now make to get control back of your life? And I knew I wasn't going back. And Mitch, if I'm being completely honest, I've done a lot of real estate deals in a lot of different segments. My first business venture was actually when I was locked up. My very first business venture, from buying real estate to understanding supply and demand and hiring employees, was when I was locked up.
How did you do that? Now I'm curious.
I know.
Were you in
So,
federal or state prison?
so I was in state,
The state prison. Okay.
right here in the
Okay.
good old state of Texas. I was in state, and when I first got locked up, I was in the county jail, and there were
Right.
three cells. Really, it really only fit six people.
Got it.
But we had 12 people in the day room area. So there was 18 people, and they still sit for six. And I was the youngest guy in there, and there was this older gentleman that came up to me. I don't even remember this guy's name. And I was really skinny. And he was like, "Man, you're not gonna make it. First of all, I don't know what you're doing in here. You're not gonna make it. I'm
How
gonna
old
show
were
you."
you? How old are you, Kenny?
I was 17.
Oh shit. And they put you in with the adults?
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes. I was not supposed to be in there, but everything happens for a reason. And so he showed me, he said, I want you to watch. They would make commissary. Commissary is when we were able to buy things. So Wednesdays and Fridays, people were able to buy things. He said, I want you to watch what people buy. And I watched them buy coffee and candy bars and all these things. So they would buy it Wednesday, they'd be out by Friday. Commissary come again, they'd buy it again, they'd be out by Monday. He said, so what I want you to do is now I want you to buy the stuff you saw them buying. I said, well, I don't drink coffee. He said, just buy it. So I bought it. He said, now hold on to it. So I bought it on a Wednesday. They were out by Thursday. He said, now sell it for double. I said, okay. At that time, you sell it for double, they had to go and give you double of what you gave them when they made commissary. So they did that Friday. By Sunday, they were out again. He said, sell it again for double.
That's called supply and demand and playing a
Yes.
cycle. Oh, isn't
Yep.
that good training?
Yes. So then he said, now we need to get out of this day room. So I want you to go, and the guys that are in those bunks, I want you to go
Mhm.
buy those bunks. So give them coffee, give them cigarettes, whatever. So I bought two bunks, which was two cells, which was four bunks. I said, why do I need four bunks? He said, because you're gonna hire these younger guys who are bigger than you as your security.
Oh,
So I made a deal with the four people that was in there to buy those bunks, and then I hired these two young guys to watch over all the supply. Right there in jail was my first business venture that I had no clue how far that would take me in understanding personalities, understanding handling people that work for you, and leadership. But yeah, that was my actual first business venture.
now were you in a mixed race environment? Because that's another layer. Okay, because yeah, I've been involved. I'm very open about discussing this. I'm 41 years sober, clean and sober. I talk about it openly. I'm at the point in my life at I'll be 65 next month. I don't care how people judge me. I'm open about it because I share this because if I can help somebody who might be ailing or a relative, I look at I've got my purpose. And
100.
what I have found, many of these people learn all this, but then you have all that external environment because race matters when you're incarcerated. You
Yes.
get segregated and all these things get in there. So you had to deal with real life by being in a prison environment, which is a different life.
Absolutely. And now I say you can put me in the prison and you can put me in the boardroom. I can function either way with
Right.
with anybody in those situations.
Yeah. So you were in there 7 years, and when you got out, did you know what you wanted to do?
I had no clue. All,
Okay.
all I knew was I didn't want to go back. That's all I knew. I had no clue. I had no skill set. I had no real direction. I had to fight to even get into college because universities did not want to let me in again because that record was so fresh. So I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that. I didn't want to go back. And I find that most of the people that I end up working with or even coaching with, they weren't born with an athletic ability. So they like a LeBron who knew he was going to be a basketball player,
Sure,
or
sure.
a voice like a Taylor Swift or Beyonce or whatever, who knew they were going to be an entertainer or singer. Majority of us are figuring it out as we go.
As I was too. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that was you learn as you go. But so who helped you when you got out? Were your parents around?
Yeah, so my parents were around. They had a big part. I at least had a stable environment to go back to, which was 100% a benefit.
Okay.
Um, Parents helped me, and then along the journey, there's been people in my life that are still in my life today that either opened doors or was advocates for me or were just there to give support and encouragement. So I stand on the shoulders of a lot of people that believed in me.
Did you, okay, so your parents were there to support you, so you had a softer landing then, and that can relate to, we can have even a whole separate conversation about recidivism, what causes
Yeah.
people to go back because you had that support network and
Yes.
you did whatever happened. I'm not going to ask that because it's not relevant, but it's what you did after, which is totally relevant. You had a new shot on life and you embraced it. Who else was important to you in those early years or during those early years of getting Kenny back on track?
Yeah, so my first, what I say, corporate job was really with a major ministry here in the Dallas area.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
when I was going through college and when I graduated, they gave me my first shot at a role, and I was in the sales department. And so being being close next to the bishop there and watching the business acumen, watching how he interacted with people, being able to travel with him and meeting a lot of famous, well-known people in that space, I began to just pick up entrepreneurial things, how a leader leads, um,
Okay.
that whole term servant leader, what that really looks like. And it began to shape my thought process as a wannabe entrepreneur, but it also began to shape my thought process as a man and what I wanted for my life personally and professionally.
Well, it's interesting you bring up the whole business model. I went one time out of curiosity. I was visiting a friend in Houston, and he said, "Let's go see Joel Osteen."
Yeah.
And that is a marketing machine. He's got an $80 million business. Now he's serving, his parishioners in his group. He had the television cameras. I mean, his wife had lip gloss on and it was shining, ready for television. It looked like she had something on her teeth to shine. I mean, they look like the perfect Ken and Barbie couple. And
Yes.
but in order to get into the church, you got to walk through it was probably an 8,000 square foot store selling
Yeah.
merchandise. They
Yes.
had JD Jakes or TD Jakes as merchandise. That he had
Yep.
other pastors, T-shirts, books. It doesn't matter anything. It was money. It was
Yes.
money. And I realized I've heard about Texas churches, but man, that was
Yep.
merchandise. Did you work for a big name like that,
So
or
I worked for TD Jakes.
oh, it was TD Jakes. Okay,
Yeah, that's who I worked for over at the Potter's House. I actually not only was just a staff member, I traveled with him. So when he was out on the road, I was out on the road. When he was doing the conferences, I was there overseeing the events. I started out in that sales department, marketing those books, those VHSs back then. For anybody that might be,
sure, sure.
got to be older to understand what a
Oh,
VHS is.
I know what 8-track is, man. So
There you go. So being there in that space, I was there, got a chance to meet Joel, a lot of people in that arena, and began to understand the psychology of sales, right? And even in that space. But yeah, it was big business. It still is big business.
so why did you leave it?
I left it because I got that entrepreneurial spirit. So at this time, I started hearing a lot of things about real estate investment, fixing and flipping houses. And there was a lot of
Right.
infomercials on TV, and you buy the course. So I bought this one guy's course and I'm watching the tapes, and I'm doing all the traveling. And I had a conversation with Bishop about entrepreneurism, and he encouraged it. He was like, you know what, you should do your own thing. If that's what's pulling towards you, you should do that thing. And so one day I went out and I bought an investment. I bought a little $20,000 two-bedroom, one bathroom, 700 square foot house. I had no
Wow.
real estate experience. I didn't know anything about.
You just jumped in, huh?
I, I I have always been apparently the type of person that will jump in and we'll figure out how we'll pull the parachute later, right? We'll
Okay.
build the
All right.
parachute up and down.
Yeah.
And I had a friend who knew how to do some things, so I hired him. Put about 30,000 into it and sold it for 90.
So
And
30, so you made 40 grand after,
I
well,
did.
before commissions or whatever.
Yeah, and it was very nice. At that point, I believe I was about 28 or so, and I was like, "Ooh, this is beautiful." And so I did a couple of the houses while we were traveling, and it got to the point where I was finding so many opportunities that I couldn't continue to do full-time work on one end and build this business on the other end. So I had to make a decision. I had to decide which path I wanted to take, and both were good paths, but I decided that I was going to bet on me.
Good for
Uh,
you.
and so I did that. And so for the first 3 years, I got tired of competing with people on fixing and flipping. So I started buying empty lots off of the tax rolls. And I,
Okay.
I started building from the ground up. I built about 200 houses in the Dallas area in a 4-year period.
Wow. Yeah, there was another speaker friend of mine named Ted Thomas who sold a course on buying trust deeds
Mhm.
or deeds and yeah, and or tax
Yes,
liens, tax
yes.
properties and get them out because sometimes they go to auction and then you can walk away and that was his whole course to sell people how to do that.
And I would grab them even before they got to auction. I would find them that was in the rears, and I would do some research and find out who was the heirs or who owned it. And I'd reach out to them like, "Hey, you have this piece of land." A lot of them didn't even know they had it; they'd inherited it, and so the taxes were maybe a couple $100. They had the penalties for not cutting the grass. I think the largest amount of money I spent on buying a lot might have been $2,000.
And what would you do with it? Then build from the ground up?
I build a first time homeowners sort of product. 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2 car garage, 12 to 1,500 square feet. It would cost me about 40,000 at the time to build it, 40 to 50,000 to build it, and I can sell it anywhere from 90 to $130,000.
Well, that's a good deal. What was the timeline in order to do that?
I
From
can
when you
turn those
bought how long?
3.5 months.
Oh, wow. You got approvals from the city that fast.
City of Dallas at that point was there was not a whole bunch of red tape. You're in and you're out. I got to know obviously the planning department. They knew what I was doing. A lot of times I was buying whole blocks of land. Um,
Wow.
that we were turning them around really fast. The thing I had to worry about, all these weren't the best neighborhoods.
Right.
So there was a lot of AC theft, copper theft. Like there were a lot of theft going on those properties.
Well, yeah, and that's when you have to have a security guard, I would imagine, until things get done. But yeah, the precious metals is a big business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really was. And for the first couple of months, I was the security guard.
Got it. You got to do what you got to do. And
Yeah,
and if
that's
there,
what you gotta do.
yeah, you got to protect your asset. And so you did a couple hundred of these.
I did, and then a big builder back in the day was Choice Homes. They came in and they bought a whole bunch of lots that I have, and that was what I like to say, kind of the first time I retired, and I retired into corporate America because I learned there was a lot that I didn't know. There was a lot about business operations, sales that I still did not know, and so every time I would go into corporate America, it would be for them to pay me to teach me to learn something. And so that was my in and out of corporate America. And so, yeah, that was my first stint into a real corporate job after I sold that business. I had to go learn how to manage money and I had to go learn how operations really should look.
So are you still learning today or do you mentor others or where do you stand now, Kenny?
Both. I'm still learning and I mentor. I still have business coaches. I have coaches that are in spaces where I want to get into that I don't know. So instead of me just learning on my own, I hire people that can help me speed through the process. And at the same time, I mentor others and work with others. That's why I created Exposure Experts. I help others identify their one idea based upon their past experiences. Because the truth is, we're trying to figure out all these things we can do and buying these courses and doing all this stuff. Your experience is your opportunity. What you've already learned, if you can identify the problem that it can solve, people will pay you for solving that problem. That's all we spend money on is we have problems, whether it's food, clothing, or in a company we hire people because there's a vacancy and a problem that we're trying to fix so that we can turn around and get paid for it. Well, I help individuals identify their thing that they can solve based upon their experiences and then how to launch that and go and get paid for it.
That is absolutely the essence of our call today. Is if you've got a problem and you can provide a solution, people will pay for it. I don't want to learn how to fish.
Right.
I've gone fishing. I was a little boy and I was miserable. It wasn't my thing, but I'll pay to buy a fish and it gets served to me already deboned, and I would pay a premium if someone would move my jaw for me.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean that's a little extreme. I haven't paid that. I don't even got that kind of money. Somebody to move my jaw, but you get the point. It's like I don't want to learn how to fish. I have no interest in that. I will pay for that. I'm also not a handyman. I admire guys that can do their own plumbing and fix pipes and do all. I will pay for that. I'd rather focus on what I'm good at. And I would imagine you're the same. I mean, you were a security guard for a bit because you were protecting your assets,
That's right.
at that time. But I'm sure as you grew, you paid for that later. You delegate. Talk to me about delegation. How important is that?
Delegate. If you're going to grow, you have to learn how to delegate because we all have the same amount of hours in a day.
Right.
And I get it when you're starting out, you wear all the hats. I joke now and I'm like, I still wear all the hats because when I get off one job, my children are run now I'm an Uber driver and you wear all the hats. But you have to learn to delegate because when you identify your best usage of time
Yep.
and where that time resource can benefit the company the most, then you need to focus in on doing that and delegate the other things. And technology today has made it so much easier to be able to do that. Mitch, it's crazy. I was driving down the street the other day and I saw a car, and on the car was one of those little magnets.
Yep.
And I thought it was a magnet for someone who would come to your house and pick up poop for your dog, because I've seen those. Right?
Sure.
This was a magnet for someone would come to your house and train your toddler how to use the restroom. And so I went on, it's a real, I went on the website and I just wanted to see for 5 days, 7 hours every day, they will come to your house to train your toddler how to potty, $2,500.
For 5 days. So 500 a day.
500 a day. So if you can solve any problem, including if you know how to train toddlers how to use the potty, people will pay you. And there was 100 testimonies. People will pay you to come and train their toddler. Opportunities abound, but you have to be able to delegate for sure. And that is identifying what you like to do, what you don't like to do, or what you're not good at doing. And then who can help you, whether it's technology or an individual, who can help you fulfill that piece of your business, because it has to be done. It just can't be you doing everything, or ultimately you're going to wear yourself out and you're not going to make it.
100% agree. And when I started different businesses, I wore all the hats, same process until at one point, something's got to give. Something's got to give. And you got to delegate, give up some control. And if somebody messes up, that's part of the growth process.
That's it.
No pain, no gain. And,
Nope.
I was a skinny guy. I'm, a little bit older now, but at one time I was quite muscular, and because I was doing the reps. You got to do the reps to
Got to
get
do the
there.
reps.
It's not overnight in business too. You got to do the reps, got to put in the
That's it.
time. So what are you doing today? How do you help people?
Yeah.
Where does Kenny go now?
Oh my gosh, so many things. The one thing that I'm really proud on, in when I was talking about helping people identify, I don't say your passion, I say your purpose,
Yep,
right?
I agree.
Um, so I help people identify their purpose, and I do that a lot through my One Idea Masterclass that I hold. So people who are looking to try to figure out what is the thing that I can do through that One Idea Masterclass, I work with them to identify that purpose based on your past experiences, come up with a problem you can solve, and then how to put the systems in place using today's technology to implement and scale it. A lot of people are so stuck on, LLC, S corp. Talk to your accountant about that. Website, your business cards. We worried about those things 20 years ago. People don't care
Right.
if you really have a website nowadays. You should have one, but they don't really care. They'll do business with it without that. Can you solve a problem? And then can you articulate clearly the solution they're going to get with working with you?
Mm.
So helping people do that, and all I do, Mitch, is pull out all my years of experience from entrepreneurship to corporate America, all the corporate training, all of the positions I had, leadership, leading leaders, all of that stuff combined to say, hey guys, I can do like I think we're mandated to do, and when you come through a challenge, strengthen your brother, right? To me, that means take all those years of experience and give you a guideline that can help you get to your next thing or your first thing so that you can live the life that you want. Because my goal, Mitch, is to die empty. Any dream, any goal, any desire, if I can envision it in my head, then I think it's my job to go after it.
And what do you want to leave as a legacy? You mentioned you have 3 daughters. How old are your kids?
25, just turned 16, got her first car,
Wow.
and about to be 14.
Okay.
And and the legacy that I want to leave with them is first I want to leave a legacy mindset, which means you should never be limited by what you think you don't know or what you think you can't do. All those are opportunities. If you're so blessed to understand that there's something you don't know, guess what? We have ways now to get the information.
Quickly.
Think like you can't do, there are people out here that can help you learn how to do the thing. So don't have a limited mindset. That's the first thing I want to leave them. The next thing I want to leave them is options. I want to leave them options. And for me, that means the financial resources to be able to have the option to chase after your dreams if you want to, and not have to be worried about the money that is needed to do that. And unfortunately, and it's been a blessing for me, my parents weren't able to do that, right? I would love to leave that for my children and then hope that they take that and go after whatever it is that's for them.
Well, that's a beautiful legacy. And where can people get in touch with you to take you up on this one idea? I think that's a tremendous offer that you have because
Yeah.
people need clarity. How to get the mud out of their eyes.
Yep. That's why I call myself the clarity coach. I hated that. A friend of mine that came up with that and I didn't like it. I was like,
Oh, I like
that
it.
I didn't. It grew on me. It grew on me. And so the way people can reach out to me, quite honestly, I have a free resource for them at guide.employeetoboss.com. So guide.employeetoboss.com. They can get that free downloadable. And it is a step-by-step guide that will take them through 3 levels of helping them look at all their experiences, identify a problem they can solve, and then how to at least start scaling that. So if they wanted more work, more work. If they wanted more help, well, it is going to be work. They can reach out to me directly at info@kennydonnell.com. But they can get that free resource and they can take that and start running with it.
Well, Kenny, you've been a great guest. You didn't disappoint. I love your story. And I'm going to have you back again. And they can also get your book, Employee to Boss, on your website or on Amazon or both.
I'm working on getting it on Amazon right now. If they go to employeetoboss.com, they can get the book. Employeetoboss.com, they can get the book.
Well, great. Well, thank you. You've been a great guest, and I look forward to having you on again, Kenny. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in to the Amazing Authorities Podcast. If today's episode inspired you, take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It helps more experts like you rise to the top. For behind-the-scenes access and free resources to boost your authority, head to MitchCarson.com. Until next time, stay amazing.